This is the plaintiff, Robert Merlino Jr. He says he rented an apartment from the defendant, packed up all his belongings and family in Massachusetts, transported everything down to Florida, and the defendant tells him the apartment's not going to be ready for them to move into on the date they agreed upon. He should have known not to go through with actually renting from him, because now, after living there for only a year and a half, the untrustworthy guy refuses to return his security fee and his expenses living elsewhere for 3 weeks due to the delay in moving in. He's suing for $3,646, the return of his security, moving costs, and all he's out. This is the defendant, Peter Geisheimer. He says the plaintiff left in the middle of his lease. He agreed to pay him an early termination fee, and now he's coming up with this bogus lawsuit to try to get out of paying it. Besides, he left the apartment infested with fleas. They were jumping around, and it's downright disgusting, and he's here today ready to fight for his rights. He's accused of lousy landlording. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1,800, the amount he's owed for early termination of a tenant's lease.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says the defendant was a bad landlord from the get-go, and now he's stealing his security. But the defendant says the plaintiff damaged the place and left it flea-infested. It's the case of the tenant who fled.
Robert Merlino?
That's me.
You are suing Peter Geisheimer for $3,646 for a $1,300 security deposit plus additional expenses that you say are his fault. And you are counterclaiming $1,800 for an early termination fee. You did keep the $1,300 security, and according to you, that's for damages. Let me hear from you first.
Well, my wife was transferred. We decided to move to Venice, Florida. We packed up our house in Massachusetts into a 28-foot trailer. In July of 2015, we sent Peter $4,100 for first last security plus $200 dog deposits for a September 1 lease. On August 30th, he said, sorry, the house isn't ready.
Were you already on your way down?
We had the truck packed. My then 10-year-old daughter was enrolled in school. We were moving. Our house was empty and on the market, and we were moving. So we had to scramble. We were able to stay with my parents, 3 of us in 1 bedroom, but we did have to leave the dog behind for a while because we couldn't move the dog into their house. So my wife wanted me to sue him then, and I was like, no, we need to just go into our new home and not have a confrontation and this and that.
What happened when he tells you I can't deliver the place? What was the reason?
There were tenants still there that were holding over.
Oh, what efforts did you make to get the tenants out? Did you file an eviction?
Yes, I did.
And you hired a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
And then you eventually got them out?
Yes, I did.
And when did you get them out?
Around September the 19th.
Okay, so I see a series of emails between the two of you
Yep.
where he immediately tells you, I will give you all your money back. What did you do with the trailer full of stuff?
The trailer needed to stay wherever they store the trailers for an extra month. Because
Do you have a receipt for that?
Yes, I do.
All right, and did you ever strike any accord with him on getting reimbursed for that?
I was going to, and I just wanted to leave it alone because it was a big move.
Because he offered to, right? Like he
No,
sent
he
you...
offered me a $100 gift certificate to restaurants.com.
No, he didn't. He
Yes,
also offered you storage. You have a storage facility, right?
Yes.
And I saw the email where he said to you, I have a storage facility, come bring your stuff here. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, to unload a 28-foot trailer, then we'd have to hire the trailer again. That would have cost more money than just storing it for the month.
Okay. So then when you start the lease, what day do you move in?
September 22nd or 23rd.
Did he charge you rent for September?
No.
Okay. That's what we call, in the eyes of the law, accord and satisfaction. You guys strike a deal, and you're now trying to renege on that deal by bringing it up in a lawsuit. You want you're mad because he kept your security deposit. So now you're not just suing for the $1,300 security. You're also suing for storage, for movers, for an airline ticket to go get the dog, for extra gas. What's lost 23 days? What's that mean?
Well, I mean, instead of staying in a 2-bedroom...
Frustration. Let's talk about the security deposit, which is your real beef. You asked him for the security deposit, and he didn't give it back to you. When did you learn that he wouldn't give you the security deposit, and how?
He sent me by email and by mail a notice of intent to make a claim.
May I see both of those notices? While he's looking for that, what was the problem? Why wouldn't you return the security deposit?
I had to remove the carpet in the bedrooms because they were infested with the fleas.
Do you have any proof of that?
No, I'm sorry. It's
Well,
pretty
how do you think
hard.
that's going to go? Wow. As required by Florida law, I am attaching the notice of intent to make a claim on your security deposit. Moreover, I request that you pay the early termination fee. Had I found a tenant right away, I wouldn't have requested it. However, this proved not to be the time of year when tenants seek new rentals. What time of year was it?
We left at the end of February. We gave him notice in the
Right,
middle.
but you're in the middle of a one-year lease at the end of February, right? So you breached the one-year lease?
Well, he had said, if you give me ample notice, I intend on doing some work to the house anyway, so I'm not going to charge the early termination fee.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
You did say that to him. How much notice do you say you gave him?
Middle of October to vacate at the end of February. That's like, what, 4.5 months?
And is that accurate that he gave you notice in the middle of October to vacate in February?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so then why is it that you're counterclaiming for the early termination fee if you told him you wouldn't
Because
if
I
he gave
couldn't
you
find the
ample
tenant.
notice? Well, I know, but see, that's why you shouldn't be saying to him, don't worry, I
It
won't.
was on a condition that I could find the tenant. This is the
Is that what you said to him, or is it just, I won't charge you if you give me ample notice?
So if a landlord has to clean a place, can he charge for his time for cleaning the apartment? What do you say?
No,
Why?
because that's what the down payment is for in the very beginning.
Well, the down payment is the security, and he can only keep the security if there's damage. But if he has to pay to somebody else to do it, why can't he get money for doing it himself? That was a good question. What do you say?
I think if they agree to it beforehand.
But they have to agree beforehand. You all agree with that?
No, I would say it's just a part of what they're supposed to do. In an apartment, they're supposed to replace the carpet. They're supposed to.
So it's just their job.
It's just what they're.
Okay, going inside the courtroom.
I wrote in email that
May I see the email? Was $1,300 just a security deposit or also the dog deposit?
There was a $200 dog deposit. There was
Plus $1,300?
plus $1,300.
So it's $1,500 that was on that side?
Yeah.
And you kept the whole $1,500, right?
yes.
Okay, so now I need to understand the following. What else did you keep the $1,500 for?
My wife and me, we had to deep clean the house.
Why are you keeping so much money for that?
It takes a lot to really clean a house.
Well,
after
now it takes a
tenants.
lot to prove to me that it
just
costs
one-
$400
just,
to clean the house.
Okay, just one example is we had to
Show me pictures of how dirty it was. He says he left it clean, so now you are in the position where you have to show me pictures. If you're going to keep a tenant security deposit, I strongly suggest that you take pictures with your telephone of everything that you are keeping
Actually,
it for.
my wife did take the pictures.
So let me see the pictures.
And I think she deleted them.
Oh, that's good.
So
All right. Well, that's not the
wasn't,
point of taking the pictures, though. You know your phones? Those phones in your pockets, do they take pictures? Okay, it's not just for nasty pictures. It is also for evidence. And so every time you rent a place, you take pictures so that you can show how nice you gave it to the tenant. And every time you rent a place, you take pictures so you can show how not nice a landlord gave it to you. All right, let's go through this piece by piece. First of all, your lost 23 days, your storage, your movers, your airline ticket, and your extra gas, all that is lost because you two came to an agreement on how you would handle that, and you can't later regret it and add it into a lawsuit. So now here's what we're down to, folks. All of the, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and now we're down to the nitty-gritty. Did he damage the place? What evidence do I have that he damaged the carpets? What evidence do I have of how you turned over the carpets to him? Were the carpets pristine when you received them?
No.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that he's going to say that. And it could be true. I don't know because you don't have the evidence. And you're the guy who has to have the evidence because when you keep a tenant's security deposit, you have the burden of proof.
Right.
So that's one. Two, on the cleaning, same issue. You have the burden of proof, and you have to show me that it was $400 worth of cleaning. People typically show that by showing me how disgusting the guy left the place, and that it cost you $400 to clean it, or it cost you several days of your life with your wife, you said.
Correct.
But none of that is present either because you have zero evidence of, and he says, I left it clean, Judge. All right.
You're right.
So now let's get to the next part, which is the imposition of an $1,800 penalty for breaching the lease. You certainly have a lease that says I can impose an $1,800 penalty. And then when I asked you if you told him, did you tell him that if he gives you plenty of notice that you wouldn't impose it? You said yes. Now you tell me, yeah, but that's only if I was able to rent it out. If I can't rent it out, then no. Okay. I'm going to need to see proof that you qualified it because your first answer to me was yes, I did tell him that. And that's believable to me because you've already got him there. He's already paying. You don't want to have to get a new person in there. What difference does it make? If he gives you plenty of notice, you'll find somebody. I also understand that you're not getting a new person in there because you were also beautifying the place or renovating it or whatever else. So what I need, you said I would see an email where you tell him, I won't charge you if you give me plenty of notice and I'm able to rent it out. Do you have an email back in October where you tell him, you qualify it and tell him, I won't charge you the termination fee, but only if I'm able to re-rent it?
I did find some other.
Oh, this is interesting. In July of 2016, he tells you, please go over the new lease and sign it if everything is agreeable with you, as long as I'll be able to find a new tenant to take over the remainder of your lease. And you leave the property in the same condition as you got it, I won't feel like charging you a termination fee. You did admit that he gave you 4 months' notice. So what efforts did you make to find a new tenant?
I have the property advertised on Zillow, Trulia, Postlets.
For rental?
For rental and also
May I see that?
Craigslist.
Do you have evidence of having listed this in order to try to rent it?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Your
that's
Honor.
from Zillow. Let's see that.
Thank you, sir.
And according to this, you put it on their listing when?
At the beginning of the year.
At the
It
beginning,
says
like end of December,
140.
beginning of January. And in fact, now you lowered the price because you can't get anybody to rent it.
Correct.
Right. Here's what I think. I think that regarding his lawsuit against you, he's entitled to the $1,500 because you haven't been able to prove damages. But in his counterclaim against you, he's entitled to the $1,800. Oh, by the way, it's not $1,500. It's a $1,300 deposit, correct? Because
Correct.
a $200 is not a deposit. That's a pet fee.
Right.
So that's gone.
I didn't ask for that.
Right. No, I know. So you're entitled to the security deposit back because he's unable to prove that he's entitled to it. But if he is able to prove, as he has, that he's posted it for rent, your only claim is, yeah, but he's renovating it still, so he doesn't really want to rent it. And he has the email where he specifically says, so long as I can re-rent it, we don't have a problem. So what other hoop am I to make him jump through if he can prove that he told you, you can break your lease so long as I can re-rent it, and he can prove that he posted it to try to re-rent it? What other hoop am I supposed to make him jump through to be entitled to the $1,800? So we're done. I feel that you're entitled to $1,300 and you're entitled to $1,800. So the net judgment of your lawsuits against each other is a net judgment in favor of the defendant in the amount of the $500. That is my verdict.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Both sides, hold on right there, please.
So in a very interesting case, both parties win their lawsuits, but the defendant ends up getting more money than the plaintiff does. How do you feel about it?
I'm not happy about it. I think he took advantage of us and is using our money to renovate his house as he said he was.
Well, you heard the judge.
The judge spoke what the judge said. That's it. You know, that's
He
what
had
we
the right
agreed to.
evidence to convince her that he was in the right,
I
so
had
I'm
more,
sorry.
but she didn't want to see it all, so.
Well, hey, look, she looked at almost everything. Sorry about that,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Thanks,
but you
Doug.
did win your case.
Yeah.
He won his too.
Score.
And he got more. So congratulations to you. Here comes Mr. Geisheimer now. How do you feel about the outcome? I mean, lucky you had that email to show her, you know?
Yeah. I feel good.
Okay.
And I also feel good for Rob because it's over for him, so he's not tormenting himself anymore. And because she spent a lot of time on this
Yeah, obviously he did.
negative
A long
issue,
time,
and this
yeah.
does body
All right.
bad.
Well, listen, thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
Okay?
everybody.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Kind of interesting case, Harvey. Both parties won. How about that?
Okay, Doug. So the judge said there was what she called an accord in satisfaction. What that basically means is they had an agreement, but they altered it, and they both agreed to alter it. And that means the original deal is kind of canceled out, and the new deal they agreed to is what's in place. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.